Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, and when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today I want to address an article that ProPublica published that talked about how the IRS commissioner responded to audits about, regarding poor people. And I've seen other headlines that have just copied it, and it says, the IRS says, sorry, it's just cheaper to audit poor people. And so that headline is very baiting, for lack of a better term. And so I want to address that to really clarify what this looks like, so that you understand, number one, what was said, and number two, what needs to happen. Because, your voting actually does matter. So here's the deal. Back in April, and I actually did a video about this a couple of months ago, but ProPublica also talked about how the area that gets audited the most was someplace in Mississippi, right? Is one of the poorest areas of the country, and they get audited the most. And the question is, why? Why is it that these people get audited the most? Well, the explanation is actually pretty simple. It is easier in that it is an automated process, okay? When you have poorer people, when you're talking working class, working middle class, working poor, it is generally an automated process. And this is what I mean. Most people in, lower middle class, lower income people, you got a job. So therefore you have a W-2. That's pretty much it. Okay. So with that is more of an automated process to audit you, that there is no human involved. There is computer matching that goes on. So if you've got something on your tax return that doesn't seem to match with what's been filed with the IRS, there is an automated letter that's generated saying, hey, we need to see proof about XYZ. And this is also true for Schedule C returns as well. Because like I told you, the IRS, if you're claiming losses, you might not hear anything year 1, year 2, year 3, but by year 4, if something, if you're still claiming a loss, then you're going to get a letter from the IRS saying, hey, we'd like more information about these particular deductions. And they're going to ask you to send that stuff in. This is all automated, okay? An automated process. There is absolutely zero human intervention involved. Okay, until there starts to be some correspondence. But up until then, absolutely zero. So the other thing that also happened is that the systems are starting to talk to each other, right? So the way that looks is, if you've got Sue that claims Lil Ray Ray one year, and then you've got Jack that claims Lil Ray Ray the next year, there is something that doesn't add up. Now, is it that Sue and Jack are parents of Lil Ray Ray, and one claims them one year and one claims them another, which is absolutely fine. Okay, fine. But if you got Lil Ray Ray that shows up on somebody else's tax return the third year, that's what's going to trigger something that says, okay, there's something that's not right. Okay, then they're asking people, okay, you need to send me proof that Lil Ray Ray actually does live with you. They're looking for school records, medical. There's a whole lot of, they give you a whole list of things that you can actually send in to say, hey, Lil Ray Ray is my dependent, and here's the proof. So the person that can provide the proof that Lil Ray Ray lives with them, that's who gets to claim the dependent, the child, right? And then the person that lied, okay, they're going to have to give back whatever refund. And see, what that really involves is the earned income tax credit, because, poor families receive the earned income tax credit. When that was created back in the 70s, I do believe, it was established as the poverty credit. This was a tax credit that was designed to be given to low income families to help keep them above the poverty line. It was supposed to be a temporary tax credit. Somebody thought it was cool, so it stayed, and then it became the earned income tax credit, but it used to be called the poverty tax credit. So with that, that is why you have people who have lower incomes that do receive these huge tax refunds, and people and they do get targeted. And a lot of times the targeting for auditing, it's not a target. It's just an automated process. If anybody targets earned income tax credit, folks, it is unscrupulous tax preparers that game you for your money, charging you these exorbitant fees, and a lot of times stealing your money. It happens. Okay, so if anybody's is targeting earned income tax credit, folks, it's those, because I see the cases every week. There's new tax preparers that are getting shut down, that are going to jail because they're doctoring these tax returns to get these higher refunds. Okay, it is what it is, and you just have to be careful if you fall into that category. But again, it's still an automated process. There are no people. Now, when it comes to auditing wealthier people, then you need human intervention, because you got to have experienced auditors that can trace the money, that knows which form goes with which form and which one makes sense and which doesn't. And because since 2011-ish, I do believe, Congress has been steadily reducing funding to the IRS. And so what the commissioner was saying is like, look, if you want us to audit more wealthier people, if you want us to do that, you have to give us money to do it. And if you're not going to give us money, we can't do it, because they can't hire the experienced people that they need, and they can't keep up with the attrition rate. More people are retiring from the IRS than they can hire with the IRS and train them. So, the IRS is saying, basically, what are we supposed to do? Right? Because the automated system is already in place. It's not like they're going to shut it down, but unless and until Congress provides the funding to pay experienced people to conduct these audits, it's gonna look like this. So I really want to make sure that you understand to not buy into the narrative that the IRS is targeting poor people. The IRS is not targeting poor people. It is just an automated process that is already in place, and it's easier to catch you when you're doing something because there's enough if-then statements, computer programming that's out there that makes it an automated process. It's not there yet with wealthier people. That's what it is. So the IRS is not targeting poor people. It's just the automation is in place in order to catch when you're doing something unscrupulous, that you're doing something fraudulent. That's what it is. This is also why now earned income tax credit refunds don't get released until after February 15th, because there's so many instances of fraud. And unfortunately, because there's so much fraud in earned income tax credit, because that's our highest paying tax credit, because there's so much fraud, the IRS have to be careful, because otherwise, once that money is gone, it's gone. The odds of getting it back are slim to none. So yeah, this is why that's happened. This is why there's that delay, because you got unscrupulous people that feel like they should get this huge refund. Therefore, they claim dependents that are not theirs. You got people renting out Social Security numbers and all this other stuff. It's all fraud, but the automation is in place to catch you at some point. But when it comes down to auditing the returns of wealthier people, it requires more human intervention. It requires more experienced people that the IRS just does not have the money for. And unless Congress appropriates those funds and sends them to the IRS, it's not going to change. So it looks bad. I get that. But I really just don't want you to feed into that narrative, because that is just simply not true. It's easier. The automation makes it easier. And it makes lower income people that are getting audited disproportionately more than wealthier people. But that's because the IRS does not have money. Congress is the one who's in charge of the IRS. The IRS is simply an enforcer. And unless they have the money to properly enforce, to enforce the laws like evenly across the board, if there's no money, what are they supposed to do? I mean, that's what it boils down to. It boils down to money. And because the IRS funding has been slashed so bad, they're like bare bones now, to be really honest with you. They're at bare bones, and you're supposed to have all these people that are focused on, these wealthier tax returns, when really it just, the people that you need to hire to do that are going to cost more. And if there's no money to pay them, what are they going to work for free? I don't think so. It's just that simple. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to come on and talk about that today, because there is enough jacked up information that's, clickbait type stuff that's out there already, and you need to know the truth instead of reacting on emotion and continuing that, this so-and-so, the government is out to get me. No. But I also tell you too that if you prepare your tax return as if you knew for sure that you were going to get audited tomorrow, you will not have an issue. Can I tell you that you will never get audited? No. No one makes that decision except the IRS. The only thing that we can do as tax professionals is tell you how to prepare. So you keep all of your documentation. You don't let other people besides another parent, if you all are not together, claim your child unless there's other conditions that are going on. But you just don't do that. Don't claim business expenses that you don't have. Don't claim income that you don't have in order to get your earned income tax credit. Just don't do it. Because you think you deserve something. Just don't. It's quite simple. So that's it for today, you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right, have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.